Hello everyone, this is Mike Roble with another entry in our Finance Central video series. Today we're talking all things fund balance. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of what a fund balance is, what it does, what the industry has defined as a normal or healthy fund balance, and the specific ways an individual school might plan for the future using fund balance as a driver for understanding. Let's start big picture. What is a fund balance? Without getting into a bunch of definitions and accounting terms, basically almost everything a school has to do over the course of the year, pay for teachers, pay for books and computers, keep the lights on, heat the buildings, almost everything fits into a budget that represents the school's general fund. This is the largest fund that almost all schools will use and is the fund being referred to when we say fund balance. Many schools will have multiple separate funds that they maintain. The most common is a food service fund set up to track the revenues and expenditures related to their food service program. Some schools may have a capital projects fund or a debt service fund, again, meant to track specific revenues and expenditures tied to a specific concern in the school. Historically, districts have kept separate athletic or other special project funds as well. However, many schools will not maintain more than a handful of separate funds, and the general fund will always represent the vast majority of a school's activity throughout the year. It's also important to note that your fund balance is not the same as your cash reserves. The actual balance in any academy depository accounts contribute, and often significantly, to the academy's general fund balance, but they do not represent the entire pie. The importance of a fund balance comes in when we think about what it has to do. As stated, your general fund represents all the revenues, which is your foundation and other state aid, but also federal grants and local contributions, and then the expenditures the academy has compiled over its existence. Each year's budget will impact the fund balance, but what's referred to as the general fund balance represents all years of operations. For example, depending on their recent trends, sometimes a school will want to make a significant change in their curriculum in order to boost their academic scores and their student outcomes. If the school has no resources put aside to make those changes, they may need to wait months or even years until they do in order to make what they've determined to be a needed change. In doing so, they waste precious time their students could use benefiting from that new resource. In this way, we see how it's important to have some fund balance available to pay for new programs or unforeseen costs. But let's also talk about the flip side of fund balance. Is it possible to have too much fund balance? Many groups who work with schools in the finance arena have said that a 12 to 15% fund balance can be a nice middle ground for having resources to address immediate challenges without being seen as stockpiling a community's resources unnecessarily. And when you think about schools as governmental units that are ultimately funded by our tax dollars, you can see where excessive saving might be a problem. Indeed, and as we've covered, your fund balance is what's left over in your general fund budget after you've accounted for all the revenues and paid all current expenditures for a year. After multiple years of sound fiscal stewardship, this can mean schools have many hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars built up. Now, if that money is part of a plan that has buy-in from the board, administration, from students and parents in the larger community, then it can simply represent sound fiscal planning. Much like putting something aside for a future down payment on a house is important, even if it looks like it's just sitting there until you use it. However, if a school seems to be continually growing its financial reserves without a stated goal or project in mind to use, the community may start to wonder why those resources aren't being directed back to the students and classrooms that need it. So in closing, I hope we see how fund balance is a major indicator of a school's fiscal health and a way that school stakeholders can advocate for their future by understanding the resources available to their school.